the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment and the United Nations Development Programme is celebrating World Environment Day today under the theme Financing the Future of Nature, Climate and the Environment. The department will mark this year's World Environment Day by reflecting on the past 25 years. The day is being celebrated in Pretoria. As you can see, live visuals there. Let's dip in.
Welcome to Minister of the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, Minister Barbara Tracy, the UNDP resident representative, Dr. Adela Udusolo, the UN representative, Ms. Cecilia, the acting CEO of Sandparks, Dr. Lutando De Ziba, our new CEO, Shawnee Mutenzi, senior officials of DFFE, UNEP, UNDP, and all our distinguished guests. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you all today to beautiful Pretoria Botanical Gardens. It is such a fitting venue for us to celebrate World Environment Day. And I want to acknowledge the United Nations Environment Programme, who are the custodians of the World Environment Day. We have a long partnership and 25 years of cooperation with the United National Development Programme, as our program director said, the UNDP, in our country. The DFFE, SANBI, and various government departments within the sector have benefited from this mutual partnership. It is fitting that this event coincides with World Environment Day, that it is celebrated under the theme Eco-Restoration, in keeping with the sentiment of the UN Decade of Restoration. It is also this theme that reminds us that people and nature are inextricably linked as we acknowledge nature's benefits to our people and to the environment. The choice of the National Botanical Gardens in Pretoria is also an acknowledgement of the role that SANBI has played as a long-standing DFFE UNDP implementing partner. In fact, the very first UNDP-supported project in South Africa on environment was implemented 25 years ago by SANBI, and we were then known as the National Botanical Institute. UNDP had mobilized resources from the Global Environment Facility on behalf of the department for South Africa's first UNDP project, which encompassed a 10-country scope called the Southern African Botanical Diversity Network. This phenomenal success of this project as an enabler and catalyzer is well known and certainly well documented. Finally, it is through this long-standing partnership with UNDP and SANBI that SANBI was able to make gains in mainstreaming biodiversity into development within the production sectors, as well as involving communities in co-developing solutions as environmental challenges impacting those communities directly. The partnership with UNDP also enabled the SANBI mandate to be taken further by sustained investment that allowed the initiatives to be upscaled and implemented at local and national level, allowing us to develop long-lasting relationships with our stakeholders and partners. Once again, in keeping with the theme of today, let me welcome you to this beautiful garden. Enjoy the event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Beryl Ferguson. Without wasting any more time, I actually forgot to apologize for the fact that we had started 15 minutes after the time that we had originally scheduled. So once again, our sincere apologies. I do not intend to waste time on the program. The program is scheduled to be 2 hours from 11 to 1 o'clock or latest 1:30. With that being said, I would now like to invite Ms. Ayaka Meletafa, from the youth perspective, who is also going to deliver a message of support virtually. Are we ready for Ayaka? Ladies and gentlemen, I think while we are waiting for Ms. Ayaka Melitafa to join us virtually, we can move to onto the next item on the agenda. Can I get a sense from the IT guys if we are almost ready for her or not, or should we move to the next item on the agenda? Can I get a signal from you guys? Can I move to the next item of the agenda? All right, okay. All right, while we're waiting for Ms. Ayaka, I'm sure she'll be able to join us once we are done with the next item on the agenda. I want to welcome Ms. Cecilia Njenja, who is the head of UNEP office in South Africa. Ms. Cecilia will be representing Ms. Nodala Bekele Thomas, who is the head of United Nations in South Africa. She is also going to be giving a message of support.
Thank you very much, Program Director. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to be here this morning representing the resident coordinator of the United Nations here in South Africa, Madam Nardos Bekele. The UN family is here in celebration of the World Environment Day, the 25 years of UNDP's engagement in South Africa, as well as the launch of the UN Decade for Ecosystems Restoration. For the second year in a row, we mark the World Environment Day in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. There is an increasing recognition that healing from this pandemic is directly linked to healing our planet. As we are rapidly reaching the point of no return for the planet, we face a triple environmental emergency: biodiversity loss, climate disruption, escalating pollution, moving from a crisis to recovery that requires us to take a deliberated steps to improve human health and the health of the natural world. Allow me to take recognition of our key personalities that are here with us in this very remarkable day this morning. Her Excellency, the Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, Minister Barbara Creasy. Allow me to also recognize in our midst the UNDP resident representative, Dr. Ayodele Odusula. Allow me also to recognize and appreciate the very welcoming comments by Mrs. Beryl Ferguson, who has welcomed us in this beautiful botanical gardens here in Pretoria. Allow me also to recognize the new CEO of SANBI, Mr. Shonisani Munzedzi, who I've had a great opportunity also of working with when I've been here in South Africa for the last 10 years, and I really do want to appreciate that collaboration. The degradation of the natural world is already undermining the well-being of 3.2 billion people, or 40% of humanity. And this is also very true for South Africa. South Africa, as you know, and has been applauded globally, is home to more than 95,000 known species, making it the third most biodiverse country in the world. Yet its natural resources, which I have had an opportunity to enjoy and really engage with, are greatly threatened by human actions, including mining, farming, urban sprawl, and industrial development. That has had serious, serious implications for society and the economy, and disproportionately harming vulnerable populations. Luckily, our Earth is resilient, but she needs our help. That is why this World Environment Day, we are launching the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. We must conserve, we must restore our ecosystems for the sake of future generations. And I was really looking forward, and I hope we will have a chance to listen to the youth perspective. This global movement will bring together governments, businesses, civil society, and private citizens in an unprecedented effort to heal Mother Earth. By restoring ecosystems, we can drive transformation that will contribute to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, the Paris Agreement, the post-2020 biodiversity framework. Therefore, the task is monumental, and requires all of us to participate in it. We need to replant and protect our forests. We need to clean up our rivers and oceans, and we need to green our cities. Accomplishing these things will not only safeguard the planet's resources, it will create millions of new jobs by 2030, generate returns of over $7 trillion, which every year we are losing, and help eliminate poverty and hunger across the world. The UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration is a global call to action. It will start political support, generate science, and mobilize financial resources in the largest mass-scale restoration of our ecosystem. Every one of us can contribute. So let today be the start of a new decade. And I'm really looking forward to planting this tree, which will really mark this decade, and coming back to South Africa 10 years after to see how it's flourished. One in which we finally make peace with nature and secure a better future for all. I'm inviting you all to join Generation Restoration, hashtag Generation Restoration, which is a campaign that we as UNEP has mobilized the entire world as the celebrations today happen in Pakistan, and yesterday the Secretary General and our Executive Director Inga Anderston launching this new UN Decade for Restoration. As I come to the end of making my speech, I also want to take this opportunity, as I am coming to the end of my term here in South Africa. It's been 10 years, 10 great years. It's been years of learning, years of interacting with the ministry together with the Department of FFE. I have received enormous support as I bring in the UN Environment Program to work here in South Africa. So it's really a difficult time when I announce today that I will be leaving South Africa after 10 years. I will be taking up a new position as the Director for Intergovernmental Process at the UNFCCC. It's quite an emotional moment for me. Ecosystem restoration here at the Botanical Gardens. I remember that one of my first interactions or public participation was actually at these gardens. So it's really a great pleasure for me to be back here and to celebrate with you, collaborate with you, and to launch this new decade, as well as celebrate UNDP's 25 years of interaction with you. As I leave, it's taken me back to the moments when I had an opportunity. I'm an economist, town and regional planner, but I started my career in the environmental sector when I had an opportunity to work with the Nobel Peace Prize winner, Wangari Maathai, as her intern. That is more than 27 years ago. And I remember when we came back from Beijing with her, I asked Madame Wangari Maathai, what does this mean? We have just come back with the Beijing Platform for Action. We have integrated environment in it. So what are we supposed to do now? And she said, Cecilia, if you want to do something, if you want a tree to blossom, the first thing you must do is you must dig the hole. You must take the seedling and bury it on the soil. After that, you must water it. And when it it germinates, you must water it and see it grow. And that is what I'm telling you. The Beijing Platform for Action, the Rio conference, will only materialize if you and others and everybody takes action. We cannot talk about ecosystem restoration without taking the necessary action to bring in this transformation. It requires us getting our hands dirty. It requires us mobilizing widely. And therefore, we are saying that we want 200 million hectares regenerated through this process. And my clarion call to all of you in this decade, do something. Take action, nurture it, see it grow, and leave it for the future generations to inherit Mother Earth that will sustain life for eternity. Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very much, South Africa. Thank you very much, my friends. And as I said, it's really an emotional moment for me as I celebrate my last World Environment Day in this position here in South Africa. Asante sana. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Njenga. I think from all of us from the department, we want to wish you well on your new journey and your new career, and we have no doubt that you will do well in your new journey. All of us here have phones, right? All of us are on Twitter, all of us are on Facebook, all of us are on Instagram. So let's get onto that hashtag. Let's tweet about ecosystem restoration. Hashtag, also hashtag the department. Just do something. I'm going to give us a minute for us to get onto our phones. Hashtag the ecosystem restoration. Tag the department. Tag the UNDP. Tag UNEP as well. And yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I see most of us are doing that. Also, don't forget to do hashtag World Environment Day. Don't forget to also tag our partners, UNEP and UNDP as well. So yeah, let's do that. Let's push the communication going on all social media platforms. Okay, I've been alerted, or I've got a signal that Ms. Ayaka Melitafa is now ready for us to give the message of support. So Ms. Ayaka Melitafa is from the youth perspective, and she'll be giving the message of support on World Environment Day, and also the cooperation that we have with the 25 years cooperation that we have with the UNDP.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ayaka Melitafa, as our beautiful host has said. I apologize for the technical glitches earlier on today. And I'd just like to say I'm honored to be here in support of the 25 years of cooperation between the Department of Environment, Forestries and Fisheries, as well as UNDP. I feel like it's very important for us to take these days, breathe them in and celebrate them, because as it's Environmental Day today, seeing how much is going on in the world right now, it is important for us to take these small days and celebrate them to the best of our abilities, to raise hope and to raise courage to people that we truly can make a difference. As we've seen, youth all around the world have been protesting against the climate inaction in the world. And I feel like these days really motivate us to keep going, because it reminds us of the end goal that we are doing. As young people, we normally hear people saying that they are proud to leave the world in our hands and we will fix the problems. And I find that statement very problematic, because we must not be afraid to make difficult and hard decisions right now to ensure our future. I feel like it's time for us to act as nations, to act as countries, to act locally, and make sure that we, the current generations, fix this issue for future generations, instead of saying that we will leave it to the future generations to solve our problems. We've seen the enormous and beautiful work that has been done by UNDP, as well as the Department of Environment, Forestries and Fisheries, and we hope that that work continues. I definitely believe that there's more that we can do, but right now we are in a good space to continue on in the fight to protect our environment, the one thing that nurtures us, gives us life, and protects us gives us a great space to live in and currently in the world. As I am part of the Presidential Coordinating Committee, as well as Ms. Barbara Creasy, we see that the Department of Environment plays a big role in ensuring that the just transition to 100% renewable energy or low carbon intensive economy by 2050 is a crucial thing that we have to focus on right now. And I'm very glad that we are here as people understanding the importance of the environment, understanding the importance of sustainability, and making sure that we take care of our environment right now so that we don't make the issues worse for future generations to take care of. So that's definitely what I'd like to say as the youth perspective, that we will continue on in the fight and we will not give up, and we'll make sure that people are held accountable, and we will definitely make sure that the difficult decisions are made right now, because it is not our job to fix something we did not break. So it is important for all of the key stakeholders when it comes to the environmental destructions, take part and make sure that they clean up their mess. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ayaka. Thank you so much. And I think most of us in the venue and also that are joining virtually would agree with Ayaka to say that the youth are the future. We definitely need their support in the programs, activities that we as the department and also the partners that we are working with to ensure that we've got their buy-in, we've got their support. At the end of the day, they are the future. I would now like to invite Dr. Ayodele Odisola. Dr. Ayodele Odisola is the UNDP resident representative for South Africa, and he will be giving an address on the 25-year celebration that we have with the UNDP. Thank you, Doctor.
Excellencies, the Program Director, Her Excellency, Honorable Minister Barbara Creasy, the Minister of the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, the Chairperson of SAMBI, Mrs. Ferguson, the CEO of SAMBI, and my dear brother, Mr. Shonesani Musedisi, the CEO of SAMPAC, my brother, Dr. Lutando, the head of UNEP in South Africa, my dear sister, Cecilia Njenga, our dear representative of the youth that has just spoken very passionately about where to go, Mrs. Ayaka Melitafa, representative of government, the private sector, and the civil society, our dear partners, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I just want to really observe all the protocols. And just to say before I start, the resident coordinator of the United Nations system in South Africa, which my dear sister Cecilia has spoken on behalf, really wanted to be here personally, but some other emergencies and development made it impossible for her to be here. So she's with us in spirit as the UN leader in South Africa. Honorable Minister, it is my dear pleasure and privilege to be with you on this occasion of the United Nations World Environment Day and to highlight the key results from the 25-year partnership between the department and UNDP in South Africa. As I stand before you today, I would like to commend the Honorable Minister for an excellent job she's been doing, not only in terms of the key mandate of the Department of Forestry, Fisheries, and the Environment, but in terms of bringing in the role of climate change as a development driver, because that's one thing that is very critical. She has not been looking at it from the environment point of view, but from the development perspective. I just want to also thank all the people of South Africa, the non-governmental organizations, the community-based groups, the faith-based groups, the business leaders for their passion for the United Nations World Environment Day, where this year is focusing on restoration of the nature. The day also served as an official launch of the UN Decade of Ecosystem Restoration. The UN Secretary General did this in New York earlier. So I just want to also re-echo the fact that today is very unique in so many respects. And I want to really mention the words of our leader of the Global United Nations System based in New York, our UN Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, quotation, which says, "Making peace with nature is the defining task of this century. We will fail unless we preserve and restore the ocean's ability to regulate our climate." That is, defining the challenge of this decade. Both challenges should be top priorities for everyone and everywhere. And I think that is a key message. And as a country where the land degradation is acknowledged as an important development challenges, particularly if you see what has been articulated in National Development Plan, we need to really make sure that we link the ecosystem to humanity. And in this regard, for us to be able to address the problem of poverty, income inequality, and unemployment, we must give adequate respect to the planet. Holding these auspicious event of the World Environment Day in this beautiful botanical garden says it all. It's about walking the talk of a green stimulus program for South Africa. My address this morning is to highlight the 25 years of our rewarding partnership between the department and UNDP. And it is to highlight the 25 years of this experience. Honorable Minister, it gives me great pleasure to really commemorate the history of this long-standing partnership on development cooperation, which is a kind of relationship between the two organizations and also the government and people of South Africa, particularly on the issues relating to climate resilience and green economy, but also with other key departments, agencies, and stakeholders that are here and those that are unable to be part of this event today. The UNDP, UNEP, and other UN agencies are extremely proud to have walked the journey on an amusing trajectory with a government department whose mandate is broadly the environment. The year of 2021 serves as a unique year to strengthen the global ambition in nature, climate, and energy, with the UN high-level dialogues on energy scheduled in September, which is preceding the 76th UN General Assembly, and also the Biodiversity COP 15 that is scheduled for October, and finally the Climate COP 26 in November. It really shows there are so many activities relating to keeping our planet safe. in year 2021. The UNDP cooperation with DFFE started in 1996, notably with the former National Botanical Institute, now called SAMBI. In fact, the project document was signed in this very beautiful botanical garden in 1996. The very first UNDP cooperation with the Department of Environment was called the Southern African Botanical Diversity Network, SAMBONET project. And the project spanned 10 countries in Southern African countries, including Angola, Botswana, Lesotho, Eswatini, Malawi, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. The SAMBONET project's purpose was to develop a very strong core of professional botanists, taxonomists, horticulturists, and plant diversity specialists within the 10 countries of Southern Africa. And also to develop competence of inventory of issues relating to keeping the planet safe, and also monitoring and evaluating same in a way to ensure that the planet's quality services are maintained. It is really a pleasure, Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that this particular UNDP South Africa Environment Project was very special, for it was amongst the first projects in the world funded by the Global Environmental Facility, Gef. Indeed, the first in South Africa and the first in Africa. The SAMBONET project received a recognition award from the Global Environmental Facility, Gef, with award ceremonies both in New York and in Washington, D.C. SAMBONET was the forerunner for similar biodiversity capacity building initiatives in many parts of the world, including East Africa, West Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. The SAMBONET project paved the way for productive cooperation between UNDP and now called Department of Forestry, Fisheries, and the Environment, and its agencies, SAMBI and SAMPAC. In addition to the productive cooperation with the Department of Energy, the Department of Science and Innovation, Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, and their agencies. An indicator for success is that throughout the years of cooperation, SAMBI and SAMPAC have matured into high-performing, world-class, highly rated institution in the implementation of Gef-related projects. I think this is a major, major big plus for this partnership that we started 25 years ago. The 25-year UNDP partnership has played an instrumental role in shaping the course of environmental governance and development in South Africa. In fact, our efforts in developing and delivering Gef projects has led to South Africa having the most comprehensive Gef portfolio in Africa and among the top globally. To date, UNDP in South Africa has mobilized on behalf of the government of South Africa in excess of $159 million from Global Environmental Facility alone, including $2 billion in co-financing, which is approximating over 25 billion rand over the past 25 years. In the course of 25 years, 26 projects have been implemented, Honorable Minister, covering large-scale national and regional projects, covering biodiversity conservation, climate change, including increasing renewable energy access and energy efficiency projects, and international waters. The results are evident in the impact indicators, which range from reduced tons of carbon emission hectares of land under improved land management practices, and increased resilience in protected areas, and megawatts of energy distributed, installed, and rehabilitated. In fact, UNDP's efforts in developing and delivering Gef projects has led to UNDP South Africa having the most comprehensive and voluminous Gef portfolio on the continent. UNDP South Africa's efforts between 1996 and 2021 can be grouped into 4 areas, or the 4 Gs. 1, greening and low carbon development. 2, governance, institution strengthening and capacity building. 3, growth, employment and entrepreneurship. And 4, gender, health and inclusivity. Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, how has our 25 years of partnership contributed to the World Environment Day in terms of restoring the nature? First, according to the UNDP dashboard figures, in the last 7 years alone, our partnership in South Africa with their department has resulted in 7.3 million hectares of terrestrial territory being under improved management, including protection. Second, the development and implementation of the National Biodiversity Action Plan, which has led to the Biodiversity Finance Initiative, BioFin, that is enabling finance mechanisms for the biodiversity economy. Third, the cooperation on wind energy development, which led to the first wind farm in South Africa located in Darling, Northern Cape, in partnership with SAWEB, and training of wind energy technicians through the South African Renewable Energy Technology Center, SARATEC. We are also in discussion to make this a center of excellence in Africa. Also, between now and the end of 2021, we are planning to install 6 mini-grid wind turbines in Eastern Cape in rural areas in order to ensure that people in rural areas are not left behind on the development landscape. Fourth, the development of value chains for products derived from genetic resources in compliance with Nagoya Protocol on Access and Benefit Sharing and National Biodiversity Economic Strategy. This is to contribute to inclusive growth that could address poverty, income inequality, and unemployment simultaneously. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and finally, the integrated transboundary water resources management and water governance in the region. These include the support to Orange River Sengo Commission, or RASECOM, and the Limpopo Water Course Commission, LINCOM, aim to bring about regional water security through planning and cooperation among the member states, namely South Africa, Botswana, Lesotho, Mozambique, Namibia, and Zimbabwe. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to really confirm that it is really, really important to hear the message from the youth representative. And one of the things that this partnership between the department and UNDP is working on is the gamification about climate promise, to create awareness about climate promise globally, and particularly in South Africa, where we are targeting about 1.2 million target audience to participate in this particular event. We strongly believe that the voice of the youth will be the voice of the future. And that's why we cannot do this partnership without the youth. And also, Honorable Minister, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me say that development is not an easy one. Development is not achieved through what they call ad hoc initiatives and projects and working in silos. It is achieved through enduring trust, communication, knowledge exchange, and sustainable long-term partnership. In the true spirit of the Sustainable Development Goal number 17, Partnership for Sustainable Development, strong, dependable international cooperation is needed for now more than ever to ensure that countries have the means to recover from the pandemic, build back better, and achieve sustainable development goals in a more inclusive way. Honorable Minister, UNDP and the UN agencies are ready to deliver and continue the journey with the department. To date, UNDP and the department have made good strides in formulating a 10-year program cooperation framework 2021 to 2030, signifying the UN decade of action between UNDP and the department, which we aim to finalize a few months from now. May we remind ourselves of the fundamental value of sustainable development goals, which is leave no one behind. We're using this occasion to call for special consideration to be given to low-income households and most vulnerable groups in our society, especially our women and children, and looking at the big picture. It's very important for us to really make this a reality. Honorable Minister, I just want to say my message will be incomplete without telling you exactly what happened, what an event we launched just last week in KwaZulu-Natal. One of the things we want to use in South Africa to achieve leaving no one behind agenda of the Sustainable Development Goal is to ensure that the people in rural communities are not left behind. In this regard, in partnership with the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, we initiated a project last year, which we are piloting in 4 provinces. The one we launched last week is one of the 4 provinces in Port Shepstone in KwaZulu-Natal, where we are bringing internet access to rural communities that never experienced it. And the beauty of it is that not just bringing it to rural community. As I speak to you today, the one we launched last week is the cheapest as far as this country is concerned. While the big guys are charging between 100 and 150 rands per gigabyte, and the medium guys are charging between 25 and 50 rand per gigabyte. The one we launched last week was 5 rand per gigabyte. So, and I think this is one of the complementary efforts to really bring the people that are currently left behind the good process into the development landscape. And we hope to do it in all the 9 provinces of the country between now and next year. It's really a pleasure for us to really say, okay, this is one thing we have to do, because we want to really use this opportunity to say the government cannot do it alone. We want to call on all development partners, including the private sector, to strengthen efforts to improve nature restoration with a focus on incentives, creation and cooperation with various departments of government, particularly DFFE. And we want the initiative to be people-centered, our partnership to be something that is focused on the people, so that we'll be able to really ensure that we bring all actors on the board. The government needs all our support. The private sector, the civil society organization, the international development partners, and the communities. The international cooperation and coordination provide the bedrock for us to know how we can really push for the transformation of development using our planet and the environment, and particularly the financial assistance to enhance ecosystem restoration, and also the interconnected issues relating to climate change, water and energy areas of development cooperation. In closing, Honorable Minister, I would like to say that the 25 years of DFFE UNDP cooperation is shaping the course of environmental governance and development in South Africa and beyond. The partnership is setting the pace for DFFE leadership on the biodiversity and conservation, climate change, and international waters on the continent. We are committed to making biodiversity, conservation, and climate resilience the cornerstone of every development initiative, because the health of the ecosystem is the health of the people. Since 1996, we have walked the long road with you, and we are ready to put on our boots and walk even further. I would like to wish you a very productive and enjoyable day during this occasion of World Environment Day, with good discussions and good networking. The objective here is not for us to talk, but also to network on how to enhance the quality of environmental service. I thank you all. Thank you.
Dr. Odisola, I thank you. And as a country, as a nation, and also as a department, we appreciate the work and the projects that you are doing in South Africa. And we also appreciate the future commitments that you have made today in this event. Without wasting any more time, I would like to invite the Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, Ms. Barbara Creasy, to give the keynote address for today.
Thank you very much, Program Director, and allow me to acknowledge Ms. Cecilia Njenga, Head of UNEP in South Africa, and representing Ms. Nados Bekele Thomas, the country representative of the United Nations in our country. Dr. Ayodele Odesola, Resident Representative for the United Nations Development Programme, Chairperson of the SANBI Board, Ms. Beryl Ferguson, SANBI CEO, Mr. Shonisani Munjetsi, Dr. Lutando Dzeba, the Acting CEO of SANParks, Ms. Ayaka Melitafa, our youth representative today, and also one of President Ramaphosa's climate change commissioners, all the distinguished guests who are here with us in the room and online, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great pleasure and an honor to join you to participate in a triple celebration of World Environment Day, of the launch of the Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, and of course, as you have heard, of the 25-year cooperation between UNDP and the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment. As a country, we are deeply committed to the multilateral system led by the United Nations, and we firmly believe that this is the only sustainable route to tackling global problems on a united and a consistent basis. As South Africa, we are therefore proud to be associated with the UN program and the work that they continue to do in our country and across the world. This year signals 25 years of development cooperation on environment, nature, climate and energy between the Government of South Africa through the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment and the UNDP. It is therefore fitting that this triple celebration is hosted at the National Botanical Gardens managed by our own entity, the South African National Biodiversity Institute, who has been a long-term implementer of our partnership with the UNDP. In fact, as you have heard, the very first UNDP-supported project in South Africa on the environment was implemented 25 years ago by SANBI. World Environment Day comes as the global community, under the leadership of the United Nations, seeks to focus our attention on the increasingly urgent need to restore and to reset the relationship between people and nature. At a recent Africa Dialogue Series event, United Nations Secretary General Mr. Antonio Guterres remarked that in order to pursue peaceful, sustainable development in the face of the disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, we need to move towards sustainable economic growth that protects the environment, promotes human rights, and strengthens the social contract. And we need a stronger sense of solidarity and multilateral cooperation to achieve the sustainable development goals and leave no one behind. Today's event is a testament to the sense of multilateral solidarity and support that will help guide Africa and other developing nations through the current crisis. The Sustainable Development Goals are part of the UNDP call to action to end poverty and inequality, protect the planet, and ensure that peace and prosperity are enjoyed by all the Earth's inhabitants by 2030. These goals are interrelated and focus on humanity's relationship with the environment and sustainable development. It is through the UNDP's work and partnerships in over 170 countries and territories that these goals are being met. The Sustainable Development Goals find expression in our own National Development Plan and in different ways in the 5-year strategic plans of all government departments. This year's World Environment Day theme, Reimagine, Recreate, Restore, is extremely appropriate to continue building on the foundation we have already established and as an entry for the United Nations Decade of Ecosystem Restoration. Now, in this decade of ecosystem restoration, we will see a concerted rally of efforts to protect and revive ecosystems all around the world for the benefit of people and nature. The restoration of ecosystems means putting efforts to recover degraded or destroyed ecosystems, including conserving remaining intact ecosystems for the continued delivery of valuable services to people. When it comes to the restoration of ecosystem services, every action matters, be it from local communities, from traditional leadership, from government, state entities, civil society organizations, and business or individuals. Restoring ecosystems carries enormous and substantive benefits for people, and it is estimated that every dollar invested in restoration, at least $70 to $30 in return to society can be expected. In our own country in 2017, we estimated the value of ecosystem goods and services to be worth 274 billion rand per year, or 7% of the country's GDP in 2015. So what do we mean when we talk about ecosystem services? And we can talk about these services in 3 areas. So the first area is what we call the provisioning of services. And what we mean here is livestock, fodder, harvested renewable resources, and genetic resources. There are cultural services, for example, aesthetic, recreational, religious, or bequest values. There are regulatory services, carbon storage, local climate regulation, pollination, pest control, erosion control, flow regulation, and water and air quality. All these services provided by nature to human beings for free. Over the past 25 years, our department and UNDP have worked on several projects collaboratively in areas of biodiversity, climate change, international waters, land degradation, and this collaboration, as you have heard, has centered around the Global Environment Facility. Since 2001, these projects have covered a whole range of areas as diverse as chemicals and waste management. You've already heard international waters and, of course, ecosystem restoration and biodiversity management. In the current Global Environment Facility's 6th funding cycle, our country has been awarded an additional $6 million to implement the bioprospecting biotrade projects, which span across the Eastern Cape, Western Cape, Northern Cape, and Mpumalanga province. The project is currently in its implementation phase and will enhance local and sustainable beneficiation of African ginger, aloe ferox, rooibos, honeybush, and pelargonium value chains in the provinces that I have mentioned. This particular program is co-financed by our own department, and through this co-financing, we are also extending the program's impact to Limpopo and KwaZulu-Natal. It is envisaged that this program will contribute to the growth of the sector by 400 hectares of additional supply of cultivated natural ingredients to the region, create jobs across the value chain, and develop models for conservation of economies based on indigenous biodiversity. The Gef Small Grants program has provided over the years financial support to community-based organizations and other stakeholders. And since its inception in 2001, through direct financing, co-financing, and in-kind financing, we have allocated almost $14 million to small-scale community projects. In 2015, we did an evaluation of this program, and the evaluation showed there was a strong correlation between the program, poverty alleviation, livelihood and job creation, and environmental conservation, with projects building capacity and catalyzing income generation in communities primarily in rural areas where no other means of support or employment often existed. These projects have also played a significant role in adapting South Africa's economy to the realities of climate change and embarking on pathways to a just transition to a low emissions economy and a climate resilient society. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this year we'll see the hosting of two significant conferences of the parties organized by the United Nations on climate change and biodiversity. As a signatory to both the Paris Agreement and the Convention on Biological Diversity, South Africa remains committed to fulfilling our responsibilities to contribute to the global effort in relation to both of these important conferences. It is important to stress again today that for South Africa and the African continent as a whole, ambition in relation to achieving the objectives of the Rio Conventions is directly linked to international support from developed countries with regard to both financing and technological means of implementation. In this regard, we cannot agree more wholeheartedly with Secretary General Guterres' consistent call for more support from developed to developing countries. I would like to conclude by quoting another former United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, who said, "Saving our planet, lifting people out of poverty, advancing economic growth, these are one and the same fight. We must connect the dots between climate change, water scarcity, energy shortages, global health, food security, and women's empowerment. Solutions to one problem must be solutions for all." As we have seen today, governments and partners such as the UNDP are making important strides in addressing the issues plaguing our environment in the face of climate change, environmental degradation, and pollution. Such cooperation and assistance as we are celebrating today has never been more important. Finally, as I conclude, let me take this opportunity to bid a very fond farewell to Ms. Celia Njenga for the wonderful partnership that our department has enjoyed with you over 10 years. I'm just 2 years old today as the minister, and I remember vividly meeting you for the first time in a conference on biodiversity in Zimbabwe in June of 2019. And before I met you, I was briefed on all the wonderful work that you have done with our department. And indeed, I have experienced this myself over the last 2 years. I know that we will be very sad to see you leave our country, but we know that wherever you are going, you will remain a firm friend of the environment and an even greater friend of South Africa. We wish you well in all your future endeavors, Madam. Thank you very much.
All right, the Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, Ms. Barbara Creasy there, and the United Nations Development Programme resident representative in South Africa, among others, marking this year's World Environment Day by reflecting on 25 years of the DFFE and the UNDP cooperation there in Pretoria. Over the last 25 years, we understand that they have teamed up on over 26 projects to address, well, critical national priorities, one would say, relating to the protection of the natural environment.